Welcome back to Go Again Gaming, and welcome back to round 4 of the league. That means absolutely nothing. Season 3. Today, I will be your host, Ian Holland, your voice of the league. That means nothing, and you may have seen very recently the voice of Battle-Hardened Barcelona. Today, we have Matt Kenworthy piloting Signature Teklovossen, taking on Michael Sercharski, playing New Alluring Desire. This is going to be a interesting one. Both players want to take it long. Teklo has a lot of blues that can be banished, but a lot of them are evos, which really doesn't help New. However, evos are actions. Actions get banished by stealth cards. Evos can't block stealth cards, but can be played from the banished. It's going to be an interesting one. Going to be a long, grindy one. Definitely here for the fatigue enjoyers, those who love a long time, not necessarily a good time. You know who you are, you characters, let's say. But anyway, there's no time like the present, so let's throw this one over to the gameplay and see what happens.
The League That Means Nothing Season 3 is brought to you in part by Enter the Battlefield Gaming out of Ontario, Canada. They do all of our favourite games, including this one, Flesh and Blood. They do sealed, singles, and events, but they also do things like Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Lorcana, One Piece, Sorcery, Warhammer, tabletop games, and all sorts of different supplies for your table. Make sure you go and check them out if you're local to Canada, or check out their website at enterthebattlefield.ca. Let's get on with the tournament.
All right, well, it looks like we have New going first. Generally speaking, if you win the die roll, you're going to put New going first, potentially, depending on your deck. Matt may have chosen to go first. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not overly familiar with Teklovossen's most in-depth play patterns. But, you know, this is a pretty good way to get some evos in the banish zone if New attacks you with some stealth cards, and then you can just play them. But we're just going to lead off with Enlightened Strike. Choosing Go Again, potentially, by the looks of things. Matt only blocking... Oh, no. Blocking with a Command and Conquer and a Fate Foreseen. Those gorgeous white borders, Matt. Fix your deck. Whatever about the Command and Conquers, but come on, get some feckin' Fate Foreseens. And we're going to activate Teklovossen here just to filter the hand, because that... Steel Street Enforcers ain't doing a whole lot when we have no evos in play. So full block here on the 7. Matt gets to look at a fresh 4 cards for his turn. That ability as a once per turn instant to filter some cards with Teklovossen is proving super key for Matt's game plan, just to be able to make sure he is not looking at dead cards in his hand at any point. It looks like we're removing the Steam counter. Yeah, because we're Evo Short Circuit. So when it's equipped, deal 1 damage to any target. But more importantly, this Evo is not a action. It doesn't block, but it makes it very hard to banish. And it will block eventually if Matt has fabricates, but 2 card block met on this Command and Conquer. In comes Scale Peeler, which isn't really doing a whole lot right now. What armor is Matthew Kenworthy blocking with right now, you know? But we're dealing 1 damage, and we're going to Siren's Call in reactions. So in reactions, Siren's Call, threatening to take a blue and draw a card. Matt choosing to play the Evo Recall, get the headpiece set up, activate Teklovossen to get rid of a blue, and then revealing 2 firewalls. How convenient. Siren's Call finding no purchase here against Teklovossen, kind of stymieing Michael's plans here a little bit, keeping that arsenal. But of course, Matt stuck with firewalls in hand. Not ideal, but hey, they do block for. In comes the Teklo leveler for two go again. Right? No, two, just two. One Evo lets it active, and then one Evo lets it cost one. There's a good chance that Michael no blocks on this one here. Oh, we are going to block. Can't obviously convert the entire hand, blocking with a pick to pieces. Matthew using that opportunity to get a firewall back into the deck for later, because it may indeed end up coming down to cards in deck. But we have a tick up of Tunic, and now it is back to Michael. And really, this is kind of the play pattern we're going to see. Very defensive from Teklovossen. And then our new kind of being stuck on the offense. Now, new traditionally, unless you rip a lot of reactions and one attack, is not going to be super effective at dealing a 5-card hand, but stuff like looking for a scrap, which we just see here, is very good at it. And that is met by a firewall. So 4 blocks 5, 1 damage taken, and we trigger firewall. Is the top card an Evo? It is a call to the grave. That means it goes to the bottom. Call to the grave. Get those cards now while you can, because with all of the rumors from the Phantom Sea, they are spiking. We're going to use Tunic to send in Levels of Enlightenment. This gets +1 and go again from our Beckoning Mistblade, allowing us to draw a card, I assume. And it is met by a Sink Below. Matthew sinking a card. Feel like New is just choosing to push the damage. So getting the +2, so dealing 2 total. Still nothing in the banish zone for Matt. But, these little chip shots are really where Michael needs to be. And yeah, not exactly great for Matt. Just attacking with a ripple away. 2 for 4. Not a great rate. I can't imagine New is in any desperate hurry to block, but you never know. Yeah, blocking with Bonds of Attraction and the Stilettos. So again, just preserving life total, knowing that this game is going to go long, and having a higher life total when Teklovossen is Teklovossening is pretty good. A lot of overpower, which again, not super relevant into New. New does run a lot of reactions, but you never know. 9 overpower is still quite a lot. It's still demanding a lot of cards, which is what those tanks will come in for towards the end of the game. And here comes Bonds of Agony. Now, this is a card that is a nightmare for a lot of people to block. So we'll lead with a Fabricate. Modes are Buff, Armor, Banish, and Evo. So we're going to banish a chest piece. Now our armor blocks. And that chest piece can technically be played here. Have we drawn off the Fabricate as well? Because you don't just banish, you banish to draw. It's like a very lazy Art of War. So we're going to block here, blocking quite a lot. So we're blocking here 3, 4, 5, I believe. Potentially more. 5, potentially 6. but this allows Matt to get his boots into the banish zone for later. And as those instant speed evos don't have battle worn or temper, this +1, if we find more fabricates, gets to keep going. And in with the Justinic and activating, I imagine, those boots. So this is going to be go again, coming in for a total of 9. Met with a sink below, sinking a card, and drawing. So we have 9 on 9 here, I believe. 8. Bonds. Bonds should be 9. 1 plus 4 plus 5. 1 plus 3 plus 5. Maybe Michael is doing his math wrong. I don't know. Chosen not to try and push this over with the Fang Strike from the gloves, preferring to get the value in those. And not doing anything with the go again here. Let's see if Matt decides to set an arsenal. Instead, choosing to fire the gun, coming in for 2. Just a chip shot again. Need to try and leak some damage somehow. Have survived the first Bonds of Agony. Michael finally deciding that it is worth leaking a little bit of damage here. Now let's see what we have to follow up, and we have a surgical extraction. With multiple cards in hand, kind of tells me that we have some amount of chi, but 6 block here on this surgical into a preserved tradition. Putting Inlight Strike back in the deck. Transcending, which will probably be pitched to the Mask of Recurring Nightmares, aka News Actual Hero text. And we're banishing an Evo headpiece. Matt just choosing to Arsenal here, getting set up. At any point, if he finds the resources, can start. Oh, that's a good sign for Matt. Pitching scale peeler, pitching 2 Fate Foreseens into a scale peeler. Yeah, I'll take 1. Sounds decent. And in comes Court of Desire Mind. When this hits a hero, banish the top card of the deck. If it banishes a blue card, draw a card, gain a life. Pretty good here. We're going to float a resource with Tunic to Siren's Call. Try to guarantee we get that blue to banish. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 blues here. I'm surprised not to see some Teklovossen activations, but we have that locked in anyway. And we have a blue forced into the blocking position. So that will draw Michael a card. And as a blue will be banished from this Art of Desire from its thing, we will, yeah, from news hero text, we'll gain a life draw card, I believe. Yeah, gain a life draw card. Not that there's any go again, but hey. Matt should be able to finish setting up his Evos here with any amount of luck. Yeah, pitch, activate Teklovossen, pitch, two still floating, putting the Steel Soul Tower, drawing a card, and if we have another blue here, we should be able to finally play gain 3 life. That's also a fine play. Could finish setting up. No, we're just going to send in 2 go again. Two damage here. 2 being taken, and Matt just moving to Arsenal again. And that is a Codex of Frailty. Very good card, I've heard. Don't think anyone's ever read it, but we're getting back a surgical and discarding a card, giving out a frailty, and giving out a ponder. So presents for everyone except Matt's present is plague. I'm pitching a grain that tips the scale to send in this surgical extraction. Surgical being blocked by the Evos because it is not a stealth card, thus it cannot banish them. And a firewall thrown in for good measure. So 3, 7, 7 block here. Michael trying to see if there's any way to get his hand around this. We resolve the blocking effect of firewall. There is an Evo on top. So it stays there. Probably trying to see there's no real go again here. Taking the old IP2, IP3 with the ponder, but at least we get to select from 3 cards what our arsenal is going to be. So it could be a lot worse. So choose our arsenal from 3 cards. I can't imagine there was a whole lot going on in Michael's hand that led to that decision. And we're just going to overpitch, get our last Evo in place. Chose not to fire the gun. Pitching the art, the sacred art, coming in looking for a scrap. We're like, yeah, I've got 5 block in armor here that I can't normally use. There you go. Banishing a Bonds of Attraction. So 5 on 5, pretty sweet deal for Matt. using our 2 floating to erase face. No mechanologist cards. Not that it does a huge amount here. If Matt turns into the Necropotent, it will prevent any go again. But if he turns into the Necropotent, he will also gain 2 action points. So go figure. Matt having himself a wee think here, and we're just going to throw out this unmovable for 8, cover up an erase face. Evo's back into position now. And in comes the gun, pitching the Evo headpiece, Steel Soul Memory, 3 go again. Sinking it below, sinking a card to the bottom. Maybe fishing for some more attacks, or just hoping to get the use of the sink below where possible, because we've seen those D-reacts already kind of clogging up Michael's hand. And that is followed up with by Ripple Away in its much less used form. All we need now for Matt is at some point he has to find a singularity and we can start throwing the game into its actual final phases. Slowly chipping down new. Probably has some amount of reactions here. Yep, pitching a hiss and a pick to pieces coming in for 1 with the scale peeler. Matt has neglected to block a dagger so far. I don't think he's going to do it here. Oh, that was close. Scale peeler gets piercing. And following up with Command and Conquer. Command and Conquer met by 2, 3 blocks. Shocked that Teklovossen would have so many. A Meganatic Protocol and a Warmonger's Diplomacy, which does absolutely nothing into new. Maybe you stop them playing a Codex. One of their 3 codices. And we're playing Cognition Nodes, which allows... Oh, that's a spicy piece of tech. Allows Matt to put cards back into his deck as an attack reaction. Pretty cool. Allows him to attack with one of his many tanks and as a reaction remove a steam counter and just do it again if there are no steam. Yeah, pitching a Sink Below and a Fate Foreseen again. Those will come in handy later, but can't feel good right now. Taking 1 from the scale peeler as usual. Pitching a red and a Cosmic Awakening for Mistblade. This is coming in for 1 again. Taking 1. Ooh. And is that all we are doing? Could be a defense reaction actually bricking up the arsenal. Michael just choosing how to sort his page stack. We've seen maybe one um, cheese so far, but we're going to put a steam counter. We're going to send in the Teklo leveler here for 3 go again, as we are fully Tron line. The deck is set up and ready to rock. 3 block with this persuasive prognosis. Enlightened Strike coming in here for 5, 7. I was wondering, like, how wide are we going this turn? And we're going to put this Enlightened Strike back into our deck. Target attack action, not Mechanologist one. That's really cool. So 7 on, and it goes to the bottom if it hits. With the sink below, 3 damage dealt, Enlightened Strike going back into the deck. Where are these tanks? Where is this singularity? Where is the big numbers? Where is the only cool stuff that Teklovossen can do? Where is it? I tell a lie. This cognition nodes is super sick. There's a lot of interesting tech going on here, and in comes persuasive prognosis. We're going to fabricate, banish the Evo chess piece, draw a card, and buffing our Evos, and pop the 1 block non-action Evos in front of this stealth card. Respond with homage to ancestors, gaining a life. And boom, Mask of Recurring Nightmares, banishing a scrap trader. And yellow Venomous Bite. So this is going to go up, gaining +4 total. Dealing the damage and banishing a blue, and we get to take a blue. Gaining a couple of points of life. I assume that must have been a red, because a yellow would only push 3 extra damage, and what Lunatic knew is running a yellow Venomous Bite. So 5 draw a card chosen for this Enlightened Strike in return by Matthew. And 3 block declared with a surgical extraction. Arsenal pass. 3 card new versus Teklovossen here. Take the Tunic, never forget. Pitching a Justinic and another surgical for Scale Peeler, which is going to be no blocked, I would bet. Yeah. So either we're setting up the late game or who knows, but we're getting back a Command and Conquer off of this Codex of Frailty. We have 2 floating. And attacking here for 6. Command and Conquer, we all know what it does at this point, and that is met by a hell of a lot of block. Steel Street Enforcement is blocking 5, so we're blocking 8 total. Draw for Ponder. You know, here we are. Something like Nearly half an hour into this game, and both players are at 30. This is great. Pitching a Fate Foreseen for cognition nodes. Gun coming in here for 2, pitching a sink below. Oh, we're both in garbage time here, pitching garbage. We love to see it. We truly love to see it. I bet Matt would have given anything for a leave no witnesses to have attacked him last turn. Michael taking the 2. Looks like we're closing the combat chain and just moving to the end of turn. Yeah. Beckoning Mistblade for 1. 1 is met by Evo to block out because it is the only dagger which does not have piercing for the best. Let me tell you, if this card had piercing, it would be gross. Pitching a second levels of enlightenment, so levels. Scale peeler coming in. Ooh. Okay. And then command and conquer. And we're losing our arsenal, taking 6. Cool. Looks like we have still got 1 card left over as well. And yeah, in comes Enlightened Strike 5. Go again. What madness is this? Teklovossen is going wide, acting like a different kind of deck altogether. Met by a full block here from Michael. And boom, the Terminator tank. On hit, they discard a card. 9 overpower. The first big swing we're going to see from Teklovossen costs 3 less because we have 2 Evos. Gets overpowered because we have 3 Evos. Gets +3 because we have 4 Evos. And we're going to use cognition nodes to put it back into our deck as well. So 9 damage dealt. Michael discarding an erase face. You've got to feel pretty good about that one if you're Matt. We're really starting to put some pressure into the game, finally finding our big attacks. Taking up Tunic here for Michael and sending in Bonds of Agony. So now we do have the capability to trigger bonds between our gloves and our arm, our 1 card in hand. It is, in fact, a Justinic, putting this up to 6, using Tunic, cracking a Rousing Wave, using the Fang Strike, which would put this to 7, which puts it to 10. 10 total damage, met with a Fate Foreseen, opting 1. Met with an unmovable, covering 10, covering 11, in fact. And just the value absolutely robbed here from Michael from that arm piece. And Matthew just choosing to Arsenal pass. Rousing Wave, such an interesting and cool card. Like a threat always on board, but you always want to try and get that last bit of value out of it. Make sure you've blocked with it before you pop it. And if you're popping it, it has to be something like a massive Bonds of Agony. And we are pitching for looking for a scrap, banishing one of the 1 power attacks that is probably just getting ignored here. It is 5 vanilla. Doesn't do anything scary. Yeah, 5 taken here by Matt into Art of Desire Mind. When it banishes a blue and it met by a firewall. Oh yeah. Block 4 on your 1. Another call to the grave. This is the second time that's happened this game. How weird. Call to the grave goes to the bottom. If Michael pushes this over, it will rip the top card of the deck. Maybe gain a life draw card, but yeah, here we have a Venomous Bite pushing this up to 4, and then the Fang Strike pushing it over for a single point of damage to leak through. Matt taking 1, banishing a Remembrance, so no card drawn, no life gained, but a Remembrance is gone. Pretty key in these big, grindy matchups. However, Matt is here with 3 cards plus Arsenal. Michael is off Arsenal, so any of these tanks are going to be super difficult to cover up. Can't have too many reactions left, I would wager. So we're going to start with pitch a Sigil of Solace, send in Teklo Leveler. 3 go again. That is met by a Leave No Witnesses. One of the premium assassin cards first released in Dynasty, and then followed up with War Machine. Now, this blows up Arsenal, which obviously Michael does not have, but more importantly, it is 9 overpower and your opponent's at 19. You're sending in close to half their life total. Michael thinking about committing cards on blocks here. Committing this CNC, taking 6, going to 13. And this has really kind of pivoted the game state towards Matt. Now, when your assassin opponent picks up their graveyard and starts flicking through it, they could be counting things. They could be looking at what have I got, but it always feels like they're getting a Codex of Frailty. Nope, it is just Persuasive Prognosis. So this is coming in for 1. Matt obviously asking 1. Asking about reactions. The only ones that matter here are Justinic, which we have seen at least 2 of, I believe. So if this is the 3rd Justinic, this comes in for 6. If it's the 3rd Siren's Call, maybe it messes with Matt a little bit, but it doesn't hit. Does Matt have the 6 block? Obviously, any blocks on this will gain Michael life. Unless you have Firewall or other blocking cards. But we're blocking with Evo Boots and Warmongers, cards that we can't really use, and it is neither. It is a Stir the Pot, Shuffle the Deck, Transcend, Pitch to Mask. And banishing a War Machine. To life gained to this Persuasive Prognosis. Checking his banish zone. Not a lot of playables in there for new, but we do have another war machine. Again, not getting the full value. No arsenal here, but still 9 overpower when your opponent's at 15 is not a bad deal. Blocking 6 here with a reaction and a picked pieces, so can't be a lot of reactions left in this new deck. One just a nick we know about. And we're going to attack with Scale Peeler, which is going to go unblocked because there's no way in hell Teklovossen is blocking with armor this turn. And Codex, you can smell it. Codex of Frailty. What are we buying back here? Buying back a Command and Conquer, forcing Matt to buy back a card here. And the Command and Conquer is going to come in for 6 damage. Chance we may get a... Oh, I missed that there with the cut. And Command and Conquer in for 6. Block with a Steel Street Enforcement, lose a card. Matt more interested in the other 2 cards in his hand. Getting towards the end game here, Michael is going to start finding those defense reactions again and is slowly starting to transcend a little bit more. So we're going to pitch to activate the cognition nodes here. Gun coming in for 3. Three met by Sink Below, sinking a card, drawing. Matthew arsenaling, getting set up. And we're going to grain that tips the scale of the gun, and then Sacred Art as well. So Undercurrent Desires, we're going to transcend twice. We've got 2 chi in hand now. We have a Fang Strike and a Slither, and we're banishing 2 cards. Trying to decide what we're going to banish here. Not a lot of blues that are doing a whole lot for new, but hey, something is better than nothing, I guess. Some amount of damage we take. And we're banishing two magnetic protocols, I believe. Pitching. I believe the chi was pitched to new. So reveal the top card. If it's a blue, gets banished. It's not a blue, it's an enlightened strike. Always love to see that. Stays on top. Good news for Matt. Now, obviously, New can play the cards in the banish zone regardless of whether it's banished. But we are attacking with a Magnetic Protocol. No Evo upgrade, simply a 0 for 5. Giving it +1 and go again. Dealing 6, and then Mask of Recurring Nightmares, forcing a card out of hand regardless. Matt banishing what looks to be a Call to the Grave. And this now has go again, thanks to the Slither. Attacking with another Magnetic Protocol. This one only for 5, however. Matt just checking his graveyard. I could see a real world where this goes unblocked and we threaten with the hand, but it depends on the hand. Yeah, taking 5, going to 4, going to try and push some damage. Michael simply using the go again to threaten an extra 5 points. And here is the singularity. Gaining 2 action points and 6 resources. Pretty good deal, if you ask me. Especially with a card left in hand here. So first is Teklovossen swinging in here for 6, asking Michael to discard a card. So before any blocks are declared, a card has to get discarded. And thankfully, Teklovossen is not an action. So he can't be banished by stealth cards. And that is met with a Fate Foreseen. 2 damage still leaking through. Opting to the bottom. One more swing with Teklovossen here will strip another card from Michael. And that is indeed what we're doing. 6 with our other action point, forcing another discard. This time it is the last Justinic, I believe. No, it is the last Bonds of Agony. And 6 coming in here, being met by another Fate Foreseen. Checking the top. Are we keeping it? We are. So 8 plays 4. Matt has a couple of Teklo swings left in him and has an arsenal. We know he has, I believe, an Enlightened Strike. Michael simply choosing to Arsenal and draw. Both decks looking super thin here. And Matthew leading with this Enlightened Strike, coming in for, I can only assume, 5 go again. Met with a Bonds of Attraction and a Mask of Recurring Nightmares. And then in comes the Terminator tank for 9 overpower. Technically also has go again thanks to some of the many, many pieces of text on Teklovossen the Necropotent. But with 9 overpower, Michael is going to be forced to block with a little bit at least an on-hit discard. And if any of this damage leaks through, Matt is able to put it back into his deck. And we may see it again in a few turns. The back foot firmly firmly on the back foot here, thinking about how best to block with this card. Matt still has 6 block and armor available to him. One thing Assassin's not a huge fan of is tons of armor. So it looks like we're just blocking 3, taking the 6. We're going to activate Cognition Nodes to put this back into our deck. And Michael is to discard a card. Thinking here about the discard, I believe there may be Chi in hand. We're going to pass over, banishing a card. And we're going to Rising Sun, Setting Moon, drawing a card, and putting a card from our hand on the bottom. Now, this should be done in the opposite order, where you want to draw and put a card back. So that you have a Chi to put back into your deck, effectively. But I don't think it really matters right now. So we have 2 Chi in hand and a third card, and one of these cards is going to have to be discarded. But hey, it's still all to play for here. New can drag her way out of some pretty sticky situations. Discarding a Levels of Enlightenment, deciding that the win condition is probably decking here. So card to the bottom, E-Strike to the graveyard, another card to the bottom. Draw 3. 2 Chi here, so let's see where we go with this. Pitching, Scale Peeler. Taking 1. Using Tunic. Attack with Mistblade. Probably block the Mistblade. Yeah. Mistblade blocked by a Fate Foreseen. Now, we're making sure that Mistblade, no matter what you want, is not hitting. And then activating New. We've both seen the top card. It's not a blue. Thanks for that, though. And probably swinging again with those Magnetic Protocol. Just 1 this time. Which will be blocked by Teklo. So 5 on 5. No damage leak. 2 cards in hand, which could be anything here. News deck looking awful thin as well here. And we know a lot of it is going to be Chi. So we're going to just swing with Teklovossen coming in for 6, requesting Michael, please discard a card. and then you block some amount of this 6, setting up for 4 cards next turn. Discarding a hiss by the looks of things, and dropping 6 block, a Levels of Enlightenment, and a Leave No Witnesses. Arsenaling a card. It looks like Teklovossen might be in control of this game by the at this stage. And in comes that tank we knew about, coming in here for 9 overpower on hit discard. If Michael has managed to set up a couple of defense reactions here, we might be okay. Tunic plus 2 defense reactions. We know they've been pitched early in the game. I'm not sure if they've been used yet. So that is 6 block and a Fade Foreseen. So full block here. Looking at what looks to be a stack of 3 cards, and that is the Cosmic Awakening. So I don't know if Michael has the damage left in his deck to get over this. Especially not with Teklovossen sending in another 6, requesting Michael discard a card. It is a chi, and 6 damage comes through. Teklovossen overpowering the alluring desire of New. He is more than a man and could not be led astray by the assassin from Mistvale. Really well played game by both players, especially well played there. Matagon, you know that's a tough matchup. So, big ups for that. Really interesting. Always an interesting game. Not always the most exciting action-packed game, but very, very interesting. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please make sure you like and subscribe to Go Again Gaming so that you get all the access to the league that means nothing, and they go straight to your notifications on YouTube. And also, let us know that you're enjoying it. Please comment down below. Tell us how great a time you're having watching this massive undertaking that Az is given to himself, and any comments are always appreciated. I have been your voice of the league, Ian Holland Findles_spirit on Twitter, or findlespirit.bsky.social on Blue Sky, and I will just see you in the next one. Goodbye.